Today we're doing a Mailcow settings deep dive. I'll show you how to update Mailcow and then walk you through admin user interface settings. Whether you're running Mailcow for yourself or for clients, this guide will help you keep your mail server secure, stable and well configured. Alright, let's jump right in. We're here already in my mail server, in my Mailcow mail server. This is my private one and it shows me that there is a new update available. We can see that here. If you check this, it will show you the changelog, so you can check here and it will put you right into GitHub where you can see what has been changed in those different versions. And to update the Mailcow server, you need to switch into the terminal and go into your Mailcow Dockerized directory. In here, you will see this update.sh script. If we want, we can have a look at it. Just open it up, but don't change anything in here. It's from Mailcow itself, so you don't need to change anything in here. Let's hit to the end. It's 1634 lines long. So I'm not going to read through all of this. And then to run this, we just simply /update.sh, run this command, and it will do its thing. And then it says update.sh changed. Please run this script again. So we're running it again. And now it's asking us, are you sure you want to update Mailcow? It will update all those containers. I am sure. And now it's asking us if we want to enable a native IPv6 implementation in Docker right now. Why not? It's recommended by Mailcow. It's already starting pulling those new container images. You can see that here. And then stopping all those containers and starting them up again. There's a bunch of different containers in Mailcow. You remember my first video on it. And it's going to update a lot of them. And now it's done updating. It started up all those different containers again. Now it's asking me if I want to delete those old images. Why not? Let's get rid of them. And now it's all done. Let's go back to the Mailcow user interface to see if it's up and running. And as you can see, it now tells us we are on the latest version. So that was the update part. Really simple. It took about 4 to 5 minutes for me to update all those different containers and images, but it's rather fast, I would say. All right, for the rest of the video, I prepared a second Mailcow server to show you some stuff in it. So in here, we are in the admin login. And if you remember, the admin login you access with just your mail server URL and then /admin at the end. And if ever for some reason you forgot your password, you don't know it anymore, you don't know how to log in, nothing is lost. As long as you have root access to your mail server, you can reset that password always. So let's switch back to the mail server, to the terminal of the mail server. In here, we have this directory called helper scripts. So if we change into there and display what's in there, you can see there is also a Mailcow reset admin.sh script. We can run that. And now it's checking if MySQL is there, because that's where the hash of the password is stored. And then it's asking me if I really want to reset the admin account. I'm going to confirm with yes. And now it's going to show me the new credentials, admin, and this password here. And let me just copy this. And then we're going to use this. All right, with admin and our new generated password, we can log in here. And now we are back in. And the first thing you're going to do after you reset your password is you go into system configuration. So you can see that here. That's in here, system configuration, and then you can edit your admin in here, set a new password, save it. If you want, you can enable two-factor authentication. That is in here to really be safe. All right, the next thing up is you can use the RSpamD user interface. You just need to create a password here, save the changes. It can take a minute or so, or even less. And then you can use this link here. It will redirect you to this. This one is the correct one. And then you are in here in the RSpamD. What it is, it's the spam filter of your Mailcow server. So every mail that's going through here in this Mailcow server, no mail has ever gone through yet. It will go through here and will check it for spam, and over time it will learn from those mails that you're receiving. All right, the next one here is under options, Failtoban parameters. Yes, that's right. Your Mailcow mail server already comes with its own Failtoban service built in. So what you can set up here is you can change the ban time to 3000 seconds, for example, the maximum ban time 10,000. And why is there a maximum ban time? Because the ban time is incremented with each ban. That means you can set up a max attempt. So if you reach that attempt for setting or for trying out that password, it will start banning you, and then for each ban, after a ban, it will increase the ban time that you're banned. So 10 is rather high. I go with 5. If you can't guess your password, if you can't remember your password at 5 attempts, then you need to reset your password. And the window for those max attempts, 600 seconds. So within 10 minutes, if you try to log in and you don't have the correct password, within 10 minutes, 5 attempts will ban you 3000 seconds. And of course, there's a whitelist and also a blacklist. So for example, if you want to be excluded, you yourself, from this ban time or from this maximum attempt, then you can just set up your IP address in here and it won't apply to you. Or if you find in your logs that someone is always trying to log in there, you can blacklist that one, and then he can't access your mail server at all anymore. Under options, you also find the password settings. So you can set up the password policy for that, like how long should that password be? Should it have at least one letter? Should it have a special letter, a special character, like a question mark or a hashtag? Should it contain lowercase and uppercase characters? And should it contain at least one number? You can tick them all just to have your users or you yourself forced to use a secure password. And down here you also have some settings. You can have a template that will be sent to someone who requested a reset of its password. If you want it in HTML, you can also do it in HTML. And then for the last thing I'm going to show you here in options, it's the customize section where you can change the logo from up here, and also from the start. You can just upload JPEGs in here. Also invert it for dark mode. You can also enable the IP check. It will just display your IP address, IPv4 and IPv6 to your dashboard. And further down below, you can also change the labels and tags. For example, mail server 2. Let's copy this here. And there's also a help text example. And then you can also have an announcement. So if you have multiple users and you want to have an announcement to them when they log in, and then you need to set it to active. You can change this. Now you can see this is an announcement, and it also shows mail server 2 here on top of the tab. What you can also do in Mailcow in the admin interface, you can go to system mails and then send an email, for example, from no reply to with a subject test, and you can send it to every mailbox that's configured in your mail server. You can have it either here as text or as HTML, and then you need to activate the send button so you don't send it by accident, and then you can send it as I said, it will be sent to every mailbox that's configured on your mail server, except if you want to exclude someone or some domains. What else can you see here? In the beginning, in the dashboard, when you log in, you can just see the version of your Mailcow server. You can see the CPU usage and the memory, the RAM usage, and further down below, you can see all those Mailcow Docker containers. You can even restart them here if you choose to. For example, we can restart one that won't affect us, this one here, and as you can see the disk usage of those different containers. It just takes a while to load this up. So let's restart this, for example, the RSpamD container, and then it will even refresh the user interface. Okay, the next one on the list, let's go to email and configuration. In here, you have your domains tab. You can set up a new domain. We will do that in a second, but first of all, we're going to set up a template. If you plan to add multiple domains to your Mailcow server, then maybe configure the template first. Let's have this one here, and let's say template. What you can do here is the possible aliases, the maximum number of aliases, for example 10, the possible mailboxes, let's set it to 30 per domain, and the mailbox quota should be, let's set it to 1 gigabyte, for example, and the maximum quota we can do the same, and the total domain quota, those are just random numbers. You can do 10 gigabytes and then 20 gigabytes here. It's really up to you and your server what you want to have here. You can also set a rate limit, for example, messages per second, messages per minute, per hour, or per day. For example, we can do messages per hour and then set it to 100. What that means is no user, no mailbox by default, we will see that later again, can send more than 100 messages per hour, or you can do that in seconds, for example 10 messages per second, just so no one can use your mail server to send out some spam. And in here, the DKIM key, per default it's 2048 bits. You can set it as high as 4096 bits. So we can just add this, and now we have this template here. Maybe we can do the default inactive, go back here, and then it's going to show an X here because it's not active anymore. And you can also open it up to quickly see what you have configured in here. And you can have multiple different ones. If you have a template for friends and family, you can have a template for businesses and stuff like that. It really depends on what you're using your Mailcow server for. And with our template all set up, we can go to domains, and in here there is no domain configured at the moment, but we can do add domain, and in here we can set up a domain name for whatever domain you have access to or you want to use on your mail server. We can also use, just for fun, I do youtube.com. It won't ever be working, but just to show you, you can set up anything in here. It really just depends on your DNS settings. So next up here is the template that you want to use. For example, the one that we just created, template. You can already see it changed those numbers here. If we switch back to default, those are different numbers. So template, and then it also has a rate limit here. But if we want for this special domain, youtube.com, different rate limit, no problem at all. We can set that up to 100 messages per hour, for example, and then we say add domain and restart the SOGO. The SOGO is the user interface for those different mailboxes. And now it has been created, and the next one is we need to add a mailbox, at least one mailbox for that. And also for the mailboxes, you can create templates for that. There's also one default. Let's add another template. Let's also call it template, just like the template for the domain. We have a quota here, 0 means no quota at all. The quarantine notification, we can set it to weekly, for example. It means there will be a weekly notification to this mailbox about the quarantines, those spams that has been filtered. And then we can enforce the TLS for incoming mails and also for outgoing mails, just for added security here. And you can set what kind of protocols should be used. For example, if you don't want the user to have POP3, you can just remove this here and then it's already working. Or they can't use the mailbox anymore with POP3 protocol. And in here you can have a rate limit for that specific mailbox. And then also what you can do is force password update at next login and direct forwarding to Sogo. I would always tick this second one, so when the user logs in, he will already be redirected to the user interface of that mailbox. So we're going to add this one. Now we have this template here, and then under mailboxes, we can add a new mailbox. Just forgot, before we add a mailbox, I just added 2 more domains to our mail server just to show you a bit more what we can do in those mailboxes. So if we go mailboxes, we can add a mailbox, and now we can say info. So this is the username, the left part of the email address before the @ sign, and the full name, for example, info again. That's just what's displayed for the recipient. And then you choose the domain that you want to have this for, this username. For example, I just decided on funmail.com, and then you can choose the template, and then you can generate a password or you can set a password. Doesn't matter as long as it has a password. And then we have the rate limit disabled, for example, here, or we can set it to 100 messages, 10 messages per second. We can set if this one is active or inactive, or if just the user can't log in anymore, but the email is still accepted, for example. Then let's add this one. Then we have it here. We can add another one, info for youtube.com, use the template, have a password. So we have 2 already here, and we can add more mailboxes to our different domains. We can also set up aliases for those mailboxes or for those domains. You can do aliases or domain aliases. An alias is just another name for that domain or mailbox. You can have, for example, the info that we have, and then use an alias information, and the emails will always end up in info@. And what we can also do is we can add a catch-all address. For example, we use, what did we have? funmail.com, and anything that goes to funmail.com that isn't a alias or a mailbox will automatically go into info@funmail.com, for example. And let's add this one. It will already label it as catch-all. That's my recommendation, is set up a catch-all address for every domain that you have here on your mail server, so no emails will get lost on the way, because you know those senders, sometimes they have a typo error in here. So what if you have your email and you change the server? You have your domain hosted somewhere, and now you choose to have your own Mailcow server and you want to run it by yourself, but you don't want to lose all those emails from the other email server. You can go to sync jobs, create a new sync job, and then have it, for example, for this mailbox. And then you just need to fill this out with the old host, with the port. Mostly it's going to be the SMTP port, the username and the password of the old mail server, and then with SSL or start TLS, which you need to check what's configured on your old mail server or try it out, and then set up a interval, for example, every 20 minutes. It will check if there's new mail there and will sync it over to your Mailcow server. You can add that one, and what it does is it will just sync the old mail into your new Mailcow server. You can do this and have it run for like a couple of days, for example, if you're in the middle of migration, or run it once or twice if you already migrated over. This really depends on the situation you are in. All right, we have set up those 3 domains. We have set up 2 mailboxes or more, I believe, but those will never work. Why? Because I don't control those domains. I don't have access to funmail.com if it even exists. I definitely don't have access to youtube.com, to the DNS server, to the DNS settings, and also not to youtube.us. So I can set them here, but they will never work. Why won't they never work? Because of DNS. If you go to funmail.com, hit that DNS button here, it will check the records, and in here in the DNS records, it will show you the current state that it is in here on this side, and then the correct state it should be. And if it's correct, it will show you green ticks here at the end. For funmail.com, for example, this is the DNS record for an A record for the whole mail server. This one is correct because I control this mail server, as well as the PTR record. I am in control of that one because I control that IP address that this mail server is running on. But what I don't control is this domain here, funmail.com. I can't set this. This would be the correct data for an MX record for funmail.com, but apparently someone else is using this already. Those are the MX records for funmail.com, the current ones. Also, the CNAME for autodiscover TCP for an SRV record, autoconfig CMail, and a SPF TXT record. I can't set them. Also the DMARC and the DKIM key, I can't set them because I don't control this domain. And especially this one, the DMARC and the SPF record, are especially important, so your domain won't be flagged as spam. And that one goes for each and single one. The same one here for YouTube. We can check this here, but I can't change those settings. So no one can ever send an email to info@youtube.com, and they can send it, but it won't reach this server at all. This is it for this video so far. I hope you learned something and it helped you. And if you have any further questions about Mailcow or any specific settings in here, then feel free to drop it in the comments down below, and have fun with your mail server. See you next time.